the expertise that y'all bring to the table that I don't have.
That's what this podcast is all about, man. That's what it's all about. What's up, guys? We are here. This is Goke and...
Hey, it's Kuma. Good morning.
And...
What's up, guys? It's your boy Onyx.
For everybody who's listening, we're going to give the Season 1, Episode 1 review of Vinland Saga. You guys know what's up with that. It's on Crunchyroll, and isn't it on... it's on Crunchyroll and Amazon Prime, right, guys?
Amazon Prime, and I think you actually... didn't you send me that YouTube link as well? So maybe some people could even find it on YouTube.
So, yeah, we're going to be going over the good, the bad, the intricacies of this first episode, and right off the bat, it got me going with the theme song. That intro song, like it started off melodic, and then it pumped up, and at the end, like it was like super like hardcore, like death metal. He's like,
just say it, screamo. It was screamo, sir. What do you think, Onyx?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of love the intro. It kind of got like a dark twist at the end of it where it just went straight screamo. But just to throw it out here in case, you haven't seen this anime, there's some spoilers ahead.
Now, we're starting to get towards the end of that opening theme song. And I'm not going to lie, I'm very critical, but I loved it. And towards the end, let me see if y'all know what this is. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the... That's what I was feeling. I don't know about y'all, but I was ready to do the screamo. I was head bobbing. I felt it. I liked it, actually. I didn't think I was going to, but it really got me there. I quite enjoyed it. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm on the same boat as you. I mean, I also thought it was great. My first thought was the animation was top tier.
Yes.
I think it's been a while since I saw an anime with such great animations, from like the weather aspect to just the waves of the sea. Like,
yeah,
man, it just looked great to me.
yeah, that was dope. Like, yeah, the animation, they're not cutting any corners off the bat with this first episode. But all right, let's get into the beginning of this episode. So like, dude, my man Thor's was a straight savage back in the day, right?
Okay, and I'm interrupting right off the bat. Was anybody else thrown off by the name? I mean, what do y'all think about a name like Thor's? Because I'm sure, unless I'm crazy, but I mean, what do y'all think? I see the name Thor's, and I felt a little conflicted, because immediately I went to, of course, everybody knows, your boy Thor. And I was trying to see if there was a connection. Did that happen to you guys, or am I the only one?
Yeah, I honestly, when you hear the names Thor's, I kind of thought about Thor's as well, like our boy Thor. And maybe they're just trying to make the subtle connection of, hey, our Thor's is just as strong as the Greek god. Like Goke was saying, like, man, our guy was straight savage back in the day, dude. Like, even in that intro where he ducked under the swing and then cut the guy in the back, like, that was a straight move.
Yeah. Like, all right, so going back to the name, yeah, I mean, of course I thought of, like, Thor from the MCU and all that. Of course I did.
Right.
But, like, of course they're going to have these types of names because of where it is. It's like Iceland,
Norway,
Greenland, and all that stuff. So yeah. I mean, that makes perfect sense. I of course we all thought of that.
Yeah, honestly, the only thing that kind of I thought was weird was when we first saw Thor's in the field, he had a goatee. Like, I don't think I ever saw a big time Viking with a goatee.
Oh yeah, because they always have those huge long beards, right?
Right. I was expecting like a full beard or like some type of craziness going on up there, and it was just a short shaved goatee. But I will say, like, towards the end though, like, it looked like in the end of the episode when like they went through the seasons and it was winter, he had a full beard, so maybe he was shaving it for the summer. I don't know.
Right.
Hey,
I didn't
man,
even think of that.
I didn't even think this guy. You know what? I'm calling it out. That first scene, that like pre-scene, was a complete rip-off I'm not saying rip off because it was dope, but like I feel like
The
Gladiator inspired it because
Oh,
Maximus Aurelius or
Russell
whatever,
Crowe.
he had a goatee
Marcus
too.
Aurelius, yeah.
Yeah, Marcus Aurelius. Yeah,
you're right.
He had a goatee too or whatever.
I messed the name up. Decimus Meridius Maximus. I messed up the name. Marcus
there you go.
Aurelius was the king. You can always edit that out, but it's not. Yeah, I had the wrong name.
Yeah. Word. Roll with it, man.
Roll with it.
Yeah, but all right, okay. So that first fight scene was dope, and
across the board.
Yeah, dude, totally.
What really got me too was Thorkel's facial expression. Like he's like in the middle of war battle.
Yo,
and he's like as happy as can be.
Onyx, you're right, man.
Like man, I kind of like I really dig that, man. Like I kind of love that. Like it really showed the Vikings' love and passion for fights.
Agreed. That's how Vikings were really described. So I think, strangely, that was a great depiction. I agree both with Goke and Onyx on this 100%. He had that Viking spirit, but I remember him running up on 3 of his enemies and slashing not only through them, but also the mast of the ship in one slice and took everything out. That was, to me, I was like, oh my God. That was my favorite part of that opening.
Yeah, his name's Thorkel.
Thorkel had some brute force right there.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and that right there, that was just setting the tone of like, okay, these guys are massively strong. So the main character is gonna have to like really beef himself up, like if he's gonna be able to take on anybody.
Yeah, and honestly, like, yeah, I kind of dig that. In animations and anime, like you always get, overpowered, just kind of like overpowered animation, like over the top, and I just thought that was awesome. like I'm down for that.
Yeah, totally, and it makes sense because they're Vikings. Like Vikings are straight up savages,
Yeah, like I also liked in that little intro part where anyone knows where Thor's went underwater to fight, and then he killed the other Viking, and he was about to swim up, and he dropped the Viking guy's sword. So I kind of felt like that was like a Viking honor. Like he was about to swim up with the sword, and he was like, "Nah, I just killed this guy. Let me send this guy to Valhalla. Like, here's your sword, bro."
Dang, this guy's Valhalla.
Like that's kind of what like I initially thought from that.
I interpreted that a little bit differently because, and I want to piggyback off of it. So I'm going to rewind a little bit. So Onyx, you were saying, this. I don't even know if savagery is the word, maybe berserk, but you were talking about how when Thor's is fighting, right? And he's just being a beast. And honestly, on his face, you don't see any emotion. And to me, that's just about as epic as you can get. The dude took an arrow to the shoulder and didn't even flinch. He just moved an inch, like, oh, you hit me in the shoulder. Like, okay, whatever. And then, yes, like you said, now he's in the water. He takes out his adversary. When he dropped the sword, I couldn't really understand it completely. I started thinking, I was like, maybe is he throwing away the battle? Is he saying like, oh, I know we can't win now? Like they were talking when they were like, we're not going to have enough people to really deal with their reinforcements. And so I was wondering like, wait, is that maybe, like you said, that was a symbol of honor in your opinion, right? Like he was, like you said, sending the guy to Valhalla. I was thinking, is he throwing away the Viking life? Is he saying, I'm done? That's why I dropped the sword. Why not come back to the top and continue fighting? And then he swims away and leaves the burning ships behind. So I thought it was more of a symbol of, I'm done with this. I don't know why though. I don't know what would have drove him to that other than the conversation saying, I don't know if we can handle all of the reinforcements. But yeah, I don't know. That was to me a little bit confusing. I don't know. Maybe that's some foreshadowing, but what about you, Goke? How did you see that part of the intro?
What you said, it does make sense because, like, isn't like the next scene they go 20 years? Is it like it's like 20 years flash forward?
20 years?
Because it wasn't it? The year was like 982, and then it goes to 1002. So like it's like 20 years. So yeah, I mean you're right. Like I think maybe that. I can definitely see how it's like that. But okay, so let's go. I just want to talk a little bit about they're setting up how Thor's like how he's different than everybody else. And we see that throughout the entire episode from the get-go. Again, Onyx, you talked about how his facial expressions, both you and Kuma were saying how his facial expressions were completely dead. Like he was just like a blank stare, like nothing. Where that Thor kill, he added the emotion in his face. Everybody else was like, they had emotion. This guy's emotionless. He sets himself apart from everybody else. And we see that throughout the whole episode. He thinks differently than everybody else. So 20 years later, this man has his wife, Helga. He has 2 kids, Thorfinn and Ylfa. I don't even remember how to say her name.
I said Ylfa. I don't know. Is it how? Yeah.
I don't know. All right. Disclaimer: my boy Onyx and I are watching it in Japanese, and Kuma's watching it in English dub. So you probably have a stronger grasp of how to say the names than me.
Believe it or not, I didn't find an English dub right off the bat, so I might have to do some more research. I watched the Amazon version, so I actually did watch it in Japanese audio with English subtitles. But even then, I still had a little bit of an issue. Might have been a personal thing, but
I shot you the
pronunciation of the daughter's name.
Beautiful.
Help me out here. How is it pronounced? You guys have it better than I do.
I'm not a Norse guy. I'm not a Norseman or Norway or nothing. I'm not from Eastern Europe. I don't know. I'm not because anybody who's listening that has that type of ancestry, what up? Sorry if we say the names, mispronounce the names, but I have no idea how to say those names. And then having Japanese people with strong Japanese accents say those names, there's no way I'm going to be able to say it. So I'm just going to copy them.
Yeah, honestly, if there is anyone listening right now that is from the area and has background history, like leave us a note in the comment to like see what your opinion was on their clothing, because I thought the clothing was historically pretty accurate, but I don't have a degree in historical history or anything, so yeah, like I'm definitely curious about that.
What are you talking about? Didn't you get your degree last week? No. All right, so my man Thor is, like I said, he's got the wife, the kid, and the 2 kids. So where he lives, like, it's mad peaceful. It's the exact opposite of the life, like that warrior style that he has.
That he left.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. And then we see Thorfinn, his little son, looking at the ocean, like, all right, I want to be an adventurer. What are you guys' thoughts about this little guy?
I thought he should leave the Viking life to be a pirate king, man.
I was waiting on this. Alex.
No, seriously though, like, I think he's going to be a good main character. I think they're setting him up pretty well. And I think my boy Thorkel, the man of 1,000 man, I think he's going to be a dope side character if he's still on the show. They keep introducing him.
What do you Kuma, what do you think about Thorfinn? Like, I guess he's going to be the main character.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with Onyx right off the bat. And I think, yes, they made him believable in my eyes right off the bat. He has that really organic, authentic interest. And I think a lot of times that is the beauty of the youth, right? He's sitting there, he's listening to Leif Erikson's story, right? And he's interested, and he's like, oh, I wanted to. And even in the conversation when they're listening to the old man, and yes, I have a lot to say about Leif or Leif Erikson, depending on how it's pronounced. I know there's multiple ways, as we talked about before, but he has this inherent interest. He's so interested in what he's talking about. And the man, Leif Erikson, says to him, oh, hey, well, when you grow up, you should come sail with me. He was like, grow up? Now? I want it now.
Yeah.
And to me, exactly, that made him, as you guys previously stated, I'm invested in him because I know that he's got that curiosity, that drive to adventure, the willingness to go out. And that is, in my opinion, everything that explains what Vikings in general are. So I'm right on point with that. I like Thorfinn starting right off. I do.
Yeah, and also just to throw out there, Leif Erikson was an actual historical character, and they were really accurate on that. Like,
they were extreme, and you're right on it, Onyx, man. I have a lot of that I would love to discuss as we go forward.
Right, like apparently, Leif Erikson, he was a real Norse explorer from Iceland, and he thought to have been the first known European to have set foot on the continental North America, like half a millennium before Columbus.
So Vinland, okay, so Vinland is North America. Vinland is
sir.
The pre-United States of America.
Yeah.
Technically pre-Canada. Pre-Canada.
Yeah.
This is Newfoundland.
What up, all you Canadians out there?
Yeah, Canadians. Hey, man, please don't berserk me. You know, I love Canada, man. I've been there. I've been to Montreal. I love y'all, so please don't be offended. Don't come down. Don't raid my village, please. I appreciate it.
So Thorfinn, I'm gonna disagree with you guys. Like, I don't think he's that strong of a character yet. Like, I think he's just like the basic kid, you know. Like he's like the basic kid. I don't see any like fight in him. Of course, you know, he's a kid. He's like 5 or 6 years old or something. But like outside of he does have the interest in exploring. You see that he's front row of Leaf's story, and then you see him gazing into the ocean. But like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not completely sold on him, but hopefully when he gets older, I'm sure when he gets older he's gonna be super dope. But like right now, he's just like a basic kid. Right now, I'm team Thor's right now. Thor's is the main dude. So all right, so Leaf, he's telling these kids the story. They're not really believing him because, you know, like it sounds like a different world, a tall tale. And no, like this life that Thor's is living now is super, dude, it's sweet. It looks dope. It's just super peaceful. It's just cold as hell. That's the only downfall. And I guess, you know, they'll get sick or whatever. So we hear his wife is sick.
Right.
His wife is sickly.
Does she look sickly to y'all? Like, I mean, I know it's animation, don't get me wrong, but did you catch that without them saying it? Because I didn't really see. I know she had the hood on. I could see her features, blonde hair, et cetera, but I was trying to figure out what exactly she was sick from. She seemed to be moving around, taking care of the things in the house. She went to get Thorfinn, and you know, I guess for me, it wasn't extremely apparent what she was sick from. Like, do they mean she's getting old? Did she somehow get a disease or something? You know, I don't know. I just feel like maybe it wasn't very pronounced. I didn't know what she was sick from. Did I miss something, or?
It's probably foreshadowing for
just some foreshadowing. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe she's gonna die of a sickness, or maybe she's gonna get killed, murked, because this is Vinland. This is Vinland, son. But
dang, you already repping the place. This is Vinland, son.
Yeah, right. I could kind of tell that she looks sick because
she was super pale.
Yeah, her skin. So usually, like in animations, like in anime or whatever, they make, you know, the females like have a certain tone, like all the skin tone or whatever throughout. So her like the vibrance in the anime, in like the paint or whatever that they used for her was different than her daughter. You know what I mean? Like her daughter, you know, looked more like alive or whatever. But yeah.
All right, I'll take the hit on that one. I need to pay a little better attention, maybe the color palettes that they're using. Okay. All right, I got it.
Word.
I will say though, just going back to Leif Erikson and the storytelling that he was saying, like I thought it was pretty, you know, like they're growing up in this Viking mentality, and everyone, you know, they're like, oh, if you're not a fighter, if you're a male and you're not a fighter, you know, you're kind of like a fool.
Yes.
And Leif was telling the kids like, hey, like explorers and sailors are just as much as a warrior as anyone else. Like, you don't have to be fighting someone on the battlefield to be a fighter. I just thought that was like a little interesting little piece of like just like a little life advice there.
Yeah,
you know,
I completely agree. I even remember. Thank you for bringing that up, because that reminds me when he says, you're exactly right. The kids are calling him out like, oh, you're not really a warrior, and he's like, basically, he's alluding to, well, I had to fight the sea. And honestly, back then, and actually you could even say nowadays, it is, man, I don't know about you guys, but I get scared as hell sometimes seeing some of these fishing reality shows. You ever seen those? Like the Arctic North,
or like the truckers,
like 30 feet high. Yeah. So I think you're right. I think it's great that he did point that out. He's like, yeah, maybe I didn't battle people, but I had to battle the sea, which, yeah, I think could be just as bad of a foe.
If not worse, right?
If not worse. Good point.
Yep, it's the foe that doesn't get tired and doesn't have to eat.
True.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Oh, you
A
just
fight
gonna throw
could
out some otherworldly quotes and stuff? Okay, I got you, Goke. Talk about.
I mean, a
doesn't
fight
need
could
to
be
eat.
over, a matter of instant, but out there on the sea, it could last for months, and then if you ran out of food or water, it's you're in trouble real quick.
Tons of trouble.
Yeah. So yeah, Leaf is he's super dope. But all right, so yeah, Thor's just living this tranquil life, with his wife and his kids and the whole community and all that stuff. And then his daughter finds a runaway slave. That joint is crazy. But even before they she finds him
walking
they show him running away the night before. And another character thing that I like about Thor's is he's different than his society. Like, in America, we live in the US, us three, and it's always like, oh, these were people of their the people who owned slaves or whatever, they were just the victims of their culture. Everyone was like that. Okay, well, the slave wasn't like that, and not everybody was like that, because boom,
Exactly.
Thor's wasn't like that. His daughter's like, man, I'm trying to get a slave, son, like a microwave.
That's
like
right.
I'm trying to get a microwave.
I was furious.
Yeah,
I was furious at that part.
But she's a part of the culture, dude. Like, she's a part of the culture. She's fully ingrained.
And she not only did she say to her dad, I want a slave, she had the audacity to say, because she was tired, because mom was sick, she was tired of having to do chores.
Yep.
I was like, are you kidding me right now? You're what?
Yeah.
So yes, that part, I'm not gonna lie, my rage level went sky high. I was like, this ungrateful this daughter is getting on my nerves.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and when they first showed the slave walking the snow, running away that night, I thought that was a good, subtle little hint of the plot just twisting and getting darker. A little just dark plot right there, just coming up.
Completely agree.
Yeah, real talk. That was the twist right there, because everything was completely fine. Like,
right.
In Thor's new life, But okay, so yeah, this dude is integral. Like, he's not like everybody else. He's like, nah, man. He said, we don't do that. He was just like, we don't do that. I was like, yeah.
Right. He truly believes it's wrong.
Yep, he believes it's wrong, straight up.
And also, like, towards, the show, like, he even tries to save his life knowing that he's going to die, and it costs him 3 young sheep. Like, that's pretty vital to their survival.
Yeah.
It was
8. He ended up trading 8 sheep and dude. So all right, let's talk about all right, so we're already there. Let's just jump into it. Dude, Half Dan, what's up with Half Dan? Why is he the only one who looks Asian? Come on, man. Are you guys sick? Like, why is he the only one who looks Asian? Like, can't you just make him look? Do you have to be evil to look at? Like, what's going on here?
Good point.
But nah, man, he's sick, man, dude. Like, with his chains and all that. Like, when that dude when the one-armed guy was gonna fight the other guy and break the law, and he slashed his face, I was like, this guy is going to be a problem in the future. Like, I mean, he already is,
I think I want to take this another level deeper on that scene you just talked about, right? So this guy, okay, so if I rewind, right? So the daughter Yiva is saying, oh, we need a slave. And like you say, Thor's is like, that's not what we're like. Like, we don't do that. He establishes right off the bat, we're not slave owners. We're acknowledging there are other people that do that, but we're not like that. The slave comes through the snow. She falls off the roof, finds him. They bring him back. And right when this dude is brought back to life, as you say, Halfdan shows up. And you're like, oh snap. And they're already having a beef. There's already people drawing weapons. One dude is like, you cut my arm off. He's like, well, you cut my brother's leg off. Everybody's going to chop everybody into chop suey in this joint. I was like, this is going down already. It was really crazy. But when you talked about the chain, right? When he's saying, we don't do that. Thor's is saying to his daughter, we don't keep slaves or anything like this. You're going to think right off the bat that Halfdan is gonna just throw out every semblance of law and order. He literally sailed, because they said that the dude was from the other side of the mountain. Am I right?
Oh, dang.
So he came all the way over to reclaim this slave. The last thing I would think is that he would be, quote unquote, a man of the law.
Mm-hmm.
But he says to not only, this is not even a slave. This is one of what I guess might either be one of his soldiers, maybe a mercenary, whatever. But obviously he's not down to the bottom level of a slave. And when this dude steps out of line, he doesn't have any remorse or, hesitation to wrap a chain around his face and just mangle him. And the statement after that was basically, look, I know that you have a beef with this man, but nobody is above the law. Well, wait, you're a slave owner. You just literally sailed all the way from, at least I don't even know how far, but all the way on the other side of the mountain. So if they're in Iceland, you might have sailed quite a ways to come and reclaim your slave. But at the same time, you're willing to wrap a chain in a really super bomb ass way, because that was sick how he was swinging it around and he was saying the only way to make a heretic a human is to give them law. So for me, that was a wonderful introduction for an antagonist character, because in his own world, he is his own protagonist, and he's saying, look, no one's above the law, but I came back to get my slave. Like, that's the law. Like, I'm gonna get my slave because it's okay by the eyes of the law, but I'm gonna wrap a chain around you and mangle your face if you're gonna be fighting in the streets like this. So for me, that was a lot of different emotions I was feeling all at the same time, where this representation of law, but at the same time being a slave owner and coming to reclaim the slave and going to such lengths and even saying, I have to get him back so I can make sure my other slaves don't get no ideas of leaving. Onyx, Goke, y'all have any catch on that? What do y'all think about that?
Just to move off, I thought that dude was a man of the law, man. He was straight up a good little first villain right here. It seemed like the only thing he really prided himself was about the law, because his own guy, his own person in the crew, and especially back then, like numbers of strength, he just immediately took out because the guy wasn't for the law.
Kuma, I agree with what you're saying. Okay, so of course you're like, oh, he owns a slave, and he's talking about the law. Yes, like, just lean into that more, dude. Like, it's about the law. It's not about good or bad or morals or anything. Again, Thor's isn't about the law, but he's a moral guy. I mean, dude, it even goes to like our history here in the United States, like, just like Onyx said, he's a lawman. And you know what, like, maybe even thinking about it, like, depending on how crazy their laws are, he might end up helping these guys out, like, in some type of, if there's like a loophole in the law or anything, you know what I mean? Because like, he could have, if he was that bad, he could have just like, actually, I was gonna say, like, he could have bucked bad on Thor's, but when Thor stood up in his house and he was like 6 inches taller than everybody else,
like 6 inches higher than everybody.
I was like, all right,
that was
everybody.
My favorite part.
Yeah,
that was my favorite part, when he stood up and he towered over everyone, like, just to show that, like, brute strength without showing actual brute strength. That was awesome, man.
Yeah,
I absolutely agreed.
Yeah,
like, no one wants to mess with doors right now.
I'm feeling like we're all on # Team Thors. I'm not even joking. I think he's my favorite character immediately from episode 1. Are we all in agreement on that?
I think I'm all in with Thorkel, man. Like, man, I'm all in on the dude Thorkel.
You did say that. The guy that was fighting with him at the intro.
That love fighting, this friction. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, all right. Well, yeah. I mean, it's all about the action for Onyx over here.
Yeah, man, I'm all yeah, dude. Like this man was in battle, showing true Viking expressions, man.
Yeah,
I
no, no,
like
he
that.
was.
And
He
then
was.
he slayed like 6 dudes and took out the mast of the ship.
I
The mast of it.
know. That was my
What
favorite.
one
Yeah.
swing, man? Like this dude's a dog, man.
All right, so let's hop over to the end. So the slave dies after after Thor's buys him, and he knew that he was gonna die, but he did it. I don't know, man. Like he did it just because out of integral, and I think he kind of did to throw shade at Halfdan. To be honest, be like, yeah, all right, I'll take him. Like you're not gonna use this guy as an example for all your other slaves, you know?
I want to rewind. So roll with me, Goke and Onyx on this. Let me rewind a little bit. I don't want to just go with the slave died. I don't want to just go with the slave died because I want to talk about the moment that the slave had, right? Thor's, like we talk about, Thor's is my man right now. He is, as Goke was saying, and as Onyx was saying, not only was he shown as an amazing warrior in battle, but he was like emotionless, just showing this Viking spirit. And then on top of everything, he gets a slave. And I think the foreshadowing is there. He knows that they can't really do nothing with the slave, but he still goes to that point. And then you have Halfdan arrive and everything. When they actually resuscitated the slave was when Thorfinn walked right in, and he was angry because he called Leif Erikson like an old coot, you old coot, you liar. Like he was getting angry. He rushes in the house. The man is resuscitated, and as they're barely talking to him on the brink of death, the man has visions of making it to Vinland. And for me, I was like, how would this slave know about Vinland? How would he even? So to me, that was really emotional. And then the next thing he talked about was he said, as he's looking in this half frozen, dazed dream sleep, he's looking at Thor's, he's looking at Helga, and he's like, mother, father, sister, like he's remembering people, and he's saying, they sold us apart. And for me,
Yeah, I thought
that
was
hit me in the
deep.
heart. He's
Yeah,
talking
that
about,
was
he's
deep.
showing the real impact even in real life. And this is why I give the creators, the writers, the artists, I give everybody total credit, because one of the biggest things I wanted to talk about, and I'll leave this part to the end, but the reality in the anime. This is one of the first anime I have ever seen where I've looked at it and said, Jesus Christ, this is a rendition. This is just a historical anime in almost every way. Even when Halfdan gets off the ship, he says, I'm looking for a young Slav slave. Slav, meaning Slavic, you got him from Europe, you yanked him out of, a young Slav. I mean, at that point, he could be talking about multiple countries, I guess, but you could say Slovenia, Norway being the origin of the Vikings. That it was a little too historically accurate. And I love that the slave brought in the emotion that made me feel for him. Initially, I'm like, what does this do with the chain around his neck? Then when he's waking up, he's saying, Mom, Dad, he's a young Slav slave. And he's talking about how, he's having memories on his deathbed of the family that he lost as a slave because they were sold into different groups. And so that, in my opinion, that bulked up Thor's even more. That this dude hears that from the guy, feels that emotional connection, and is willing to give away one of the most valuable methods of money, trading, bartering, survival, and more, is sheep in an area like Greenland. And he was willing to give up 8 sheep for that. And all it did was make me love Thor's more. And it made me hate his daughter so much because Yiva, if I'm saying her name right, the next day is crying. So I said, maybe she's really not that bad, but she's crying over the sheep that were lost and not the life of the slave. I was like, come on, man. So yes, go ahead.
Yeah, she definitely, the daughter definitely, it seemed like, like most of her life growing up, Thor's was probably absent, just away in war, battling and fighting and earning his money and keep that way. And now that like he's finally back and he sees her thought process, and he definitely doesn't want young Thorfinn to go that route either. So I think he's trying to establish good, I guess, grounds for them, a good base for them to respect people and, hey, like, you know, that this is wrong. Like, you should never get a slave. Don't do this. Don't do that. And also, I guess that's kind of true. Like, if back then, especially like even today, like, you know, if you're a soldier, thank you for your service. Like, if you're always in the war, that has a big mental toll on you and
Definitely.
how you see the world and how you act. Definitely.
PTSD, man.
Right. And then you come back home and, you know, you gotta live a different life and hopefully things are calmer down, you know?
That's a great point. Yeah.
Man, see, and that's what I'm talking about. That's what we do. That's what we do every single episode.
All day, every day, sun
No.
up, sun down, while I'm doing my workouts. Okay.
Exactly. No, just let y'all know. That's exactly what we do. That's what we do. Kuma, Onyx, myself, Goke, that's what we do. We're bringing that heat to you. We're bringing that in-depth analysis, you know, that you're not going to get too many other places on the planet. Onyx, you're hilarious. After all that, you're bigging Thor's up just the same as me and Kuma, and then you're still like, but nah, man, Thor kills my man this guy because he killed 3 people and a mask.
Bro, like Thor's is a dog. Like, don't get me wrong. Like Thor's is definitely an honorable guy. Like he's up there. But for me, like, Thorkel is that dude, man. Like if I was back then and I wanted a Viking crew and I needed a warrior, like, obviously, you know, I'm not going to turn down Thor's, but I'm going for Thorkel, man. I'm calling Thorkel. I'm saying, hey, like we need to team up.
Let me pick up where we left off, right? So we had the slave, and we never got a name for him. Did y'all catch a name for this dude?
No, I never did.
I never saw him have a name, and I guess that's, in a weird way, that's sentimental and symbolic at the same time, because I feel for him. But at the same time, it's kind of showing the brutality for a slave. Like, maybe even in the anime, he didn't deserve to have a name. A lot of times they were seen as, most times, every slave was seen as property. That's why there was bargaining done for this guy. Oh, I will buy him back, even though he's on the brink of death. And I'll offer you 3 sheep. And then he's like, oh, 3's not enough. Okay, 4. Ends up doing 8, right? So that's big enough as it is, but no. The creators, the artists, the developers, they had to take it another level to me. Now, the very next scene is, right, the daughter, Yiva, is crying. And she's crying on some rocks. And I was like, what is she crying about? Why is this girl crying? And then she's like, Daddy, you gave the man 8 sheep. Why you do that? You know, and I was like, oh, I hate her now. But in the background. Time out. Yeah, go ahead.
I want you to do all the voices of all the characters. They sound like that.
You like my voices? Okay.
All right, sorry, go on.
Nah, you good, man. Nah, you good. So like I was saying, so she's whining, you know, and just showed that disparity between the two. Like Onyx was touching on, right? So that maybe she doesn't have that empathy or the emotions that maybe Thorfinn does. I mean, it hasn't really shown, but, you know, maybe Thor's was not really there when Yiva was growing up. So maybe she doesn't have that understanding. Maybe she's a little bit more Viking than you think.
Right.
And so she doesn't feel remorse for the slave dying. She's angry for losing out on the sheep. But what got me with this is in the background. Did y'all see what was in the background? The Aurora
Borealis.
Yeah.
Northern Lights.
Hey, for my Final Fantasy VII fans, I'm taking it real deep. If y'all remember, there is the similar thing in Final Fantasy VII. There's the Aurora Borealis, which is basically just the mana stream, right? And Cloud, Sephiroth, a bunch of people going there. What that is basically, for any non-Final Fantasy VII players or fans, it's still something that even in the real world on Earth, that so many people really believe in. It's basically the flow, the death and regeneration of energy throughout the planet. And this is a real honest thing. This is on my bucket list. I don't know about you guys, but I would love to see the Aurora Borealis one day. And you know, Norway, Finland, Denmark, places mainly in the north, Iceland, Greenland. It's usually you got to be in those cold temperatures and whatnot to really get to see this amazing, beautiful sight, glowing green, blue, teal energy going through the sky. To me, that is so ridiculously emotional and sentimental. And what to me that was showing whatever this transformation that Thor's has gone through in one episode. they're able to show me all of these symbolic gestures and things about how the hell the Thors go from being a terrible badass on the ships mowing down 20, 30 dudes. I don't even know how many, what was his kill count? Took an arrow to the shoulder, but underwater dropped his sword and left that life. That's how I see it. This man is so respectful. This man is so bomb that they dig the slave a grave. Most slaves, when they were killed, they didn't get no grave. That's an honorable burial. That's a sending off. And if you're property, you're no different than a cow out back. I'm not gonna bury the cow. If I kill the cow, I'm getting the meat, I'm throwing it out, I'm gonna let the jackals or something eat it. But not only did Thors gave away 8 sheep just as a symbolic gesture, because yeah, they saved the man from slavery, but he died anyways. They could have easily been like, this was bullshit, let's just throw him out into the dirt. But they go to an area that to me is spiritual, holy, more so whatever you want to look at it. And they bury.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
I got you.
I got you.
The Aurora Borealis. To me, that was the ending. And I'm sitting here clapping my hands. I was like, damn. And that's nice. That me go. I love Vinland Saga. Only seen 1 episode, and I'm more than down to watch episode 2.
Honestly, yeah, that was awesome, man. Like, just if I had to give a quick recap, like, I think Vinland Saga struck gold on the actual Viking era and mentality.
100%.
I thought the animation was top tier.
100%.
It was even historically accurate. Like, I'm a little bit of a history nerd too. So I kind of like when they actually use Leif Erikson and his story is correct. And even in Leif Erikson's background, when he talked about Harold the King, like Harold the First, the fair hair, he was portrayed as the medieval Norwegian historian to be the first king of Norway.
Yes.
From like 872 to 930, where he literally just conquered. He literally ravaged all of those little settlements and sites over there and just took over everything. And he proclaimed himself the king and was like, hey, either you follow my one rule or you leave town or you die. Yeah, so honestly, I liked it, man. If all the listeners out there, if you guys haven't started Vinland Saga and you're thinking about it on the 50-50 on it, I would say, why not? Like, go ahead and start it, man. Like, I know it's only the first episode, but I'm into it, man. Like, I'm digging it.
If I can throw it around, if you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, Goke, I would love to hear it, man. Episode 1, season 1, Vinland Saga. 1 out of 10. What's your score?
I'm giving it a 7. A 7, and that's a high rating for me. That's a high rating
for you. Okay, Onyx. What about you, man? 1 to 10. What would you give episode 1, season 1?
1 through 10. I mean, for animation, that anime first episode, that kind of outside of the intro and the very first beginning, we didn't really see too much of action or fights or stuff like that. It was basically this, storytelling, try and get people into the mood and the story, the time.
Right.
World building.
I thought that was all well written, wonderfully. It's an 8 for me.
It's an 8 for you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a blow y'all out the water, and I'm gonna say 9 out of 10 for your boy Kuma, and I'm gonna tell you why. First of all, you already heard most of it. For me, they went further. Like I talked about, the extra that they did to bury the slave, to show the transition in 1 episode. They have me understanding basically the life of Thors, going from a warrior to going to peaceful to now being this person. They hit me with Native Americans. They hit me with Greenland and ice. It's on Earth, obviously. And to me, it's the first time I've really come across a historical anime. Onyx was saying it. I mean, if you want to look it up, any of the listeners, for real, if you don't believe Vinland Saga is real, go ahead, man. Go online. You have internet in front of you. Look up Leif Erikson. If you thought Christopher Columbus was the first, I'm sorry to hit you with this. You're wrong. All right. There is a Viking presence that it originated in Newfoundland. It extends all the way out to places like Montana, Missouri. There is the presence that goes there. The unification of Norway, the bloody battles, burning the villages down, everything. So for me, that's what got me to go from maybe a 7. Because when I started out, I was right there with Goke. I was like, 7 maybe. When the daughter started complaining, I was like, 6. But then the battle scene at the beginning, I just can't lie, it was epic. I loved it. So the action, even though there was a little bit of it, it got me with that. I said, okay, the action, I can live with that. That's really nice, right? And then, but for me, as a much more sensitive man, I don't mind saying that, they got me when they showed so much to do with the slave and Thor's and how far he was willing to go to seek, you know, even a proper burial for the dude. That's the thing that won me over. So I'm already at 9 and I'm looking, I want to know what is in Vinland, how they going to get there, what's the sun going to do. So any anime that has me that way, oh, I'm giving it high scores. So right now, it's a 9 out of 10 for me. By the next episode, you never know, it could change.
Yeah, I love when anime and they point out real life crisis and real life problems. Like, that's just gold for me.
What did y'all actually watch the end credits and listen to the song?
Oh, at the end? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, did you hear it?
Yes.
It was
yes.
It was 100% a different vibe from the beginning.
Yeah, dude. If I had to rate that, I'd say 10.
All right, so I got a weird question right off the bat. What have y'all ever heard a song and you don't know what the singer looks like, but you hear their voice and you automatically throw a race on them?
Right.
Did y'all ever do that?
Yeah.
Oh, I do it all the time, and I hate when I'm wrong. I have been wrong a million times. For some reason, I don't know about you guys, but at the beginning, the intro song, I was like, definitely Japanese immediately. At the end, I was having difficulty. I was like, is this a Japanese woman or is this maybe a Caucasian female? Maybe like a European or an American woman? And I think also because I heard a little bit of English mixed in. Now, I'm not saying that if someone's Japanese, they can't also be an English speaker. That would be extremely ignorant of me to say that. So I'm not saying that. I'm saying the voice for some reason threw me off a little bit. I didn't know. What did you guys, do you think is that a Japanese singer?
Yo, down below, let us know who that singer is. So my man Kuma can look her up.
Honestly, I meant to mention this at the start of the podcast, but it was the same studio that created Attack on Titan. And there's a few things where I saw the animation-wise where it reminded me of, I thought, Attack on Titan. Yeah, the studio is WIT.
I appreciate the expertise that y'all bring to the table that I don't have.
That's what this podcast is all about, man. That's what it's all about. That's it, guys. Thanks a lot for listening to our review of Vinland Season 1, Episode 1. If you liked anything we had to say, please leave a like, subscribe to our channel, and if you haven't already, leave a comment down below with your thoughts on anything we had to say on this episode. Thanks for listening. We out.
All right. See you later. Kuma's out.